the Freedom Flotilla for the last weeks as they prepared to challenge the blockade, the siege of Gaza. Activists from all over the world, over 700 activists. Public officials, diplomats, peace activists, young and old. And the Israeli military had landed by land and by sea on this first ship and opened fire. Well, it was hard to get what exactly they had done because they had a complete information blockade. They jammed all the cell phones, all the satellites, so no one could report from actually where they were. So it was only Israel, the government, telling the story. And that's critical to capture that narrative from the beginning. And so we got the reports that Israel had attacked Al-Qaeda. Well, on Friday, we read this news headline on Democracy Now! The Israeli military has been forced to retract its claim that passengers aboard the flotilla were agents of Al-Qaeda. An Israel Defense Forces press release sent out 2 days after the assault says approximately 40 flotilla passengers, quote, are mercenaries belonging to the Al-Qaeda terror organization. The independent journalist Max Blumenthal says both he and an Israeli colleague asked the Israeli military press office to substantiate its claim. No evidence was provided, and 1 day later, the press release was modified. The original headline was changed from attackers of the IDF soldiers found to be Al-Qaeda mercenaries to attackers of the IDF soldiers found without identification papers. But they'd already defined the story. And ask most people in this country what happened, they'd say some Al-Qaeda, some terrorists were trying to get in, and they legitimately engaged in self-defense. We still don't have all the information, as everyone was taken into Israeli jails, into Israeli detention. And so as the story unfolded and we got word of the casualties and the number of people who were killed and injured, it was only the Israeli government. And I'm really careful to say the Israeli government and the Israeli military, because there are many devoted Israeli peace activists who do not support their government in this siege, this stranglehold of Gaza. And how important it is that our media tell the truth. Fairness and Accuracy in Reporting in New York, fair.org, was pointing out and pressuring the New York Times to change their narrative. How did the New York Times put it? I think it was June 1st in their report. Israel had vowed not to let the flotilla reach the shores of Gaza, where Hamas, an organization sworn to Israel's destruction, took over by force in 2007. Hamas took over by force in 2007. Now, whether you like Hamas or not, it won in a democratic election that was pushed forward by the Bush administration. The applause doesn't have to be applause for Hamas, but for simply telling the truth. And so the New York Times was forced to print a correction. They wrote on June 4th, an article on Tuesday about the deadly Israeli naval commando raid on an aid flotilla that had attempted to defy Israel's blockade of Gaza referred incompletely to the governance of Gaza by Hamas, the militant group that opposes Israel's existence. While Hamas took over Gaza by force in 2007, as the article said, the group's representatives had won elections there in January 2006. Just give us the facts and then you can make up your own minds. And now the latest news. When people think they already got the news, so there's nothing more to know. The news that is coming out around these attacks. Let me read you from The Guardian, UK. I think this was Friday's report. Israel was tonight under pressure to allow an independent inquiry into its assault on the Gaza aid flotilla after autopsy results on the bodies of those killed obtained by The Guardian revealed they were peppered with 9mm bullets, many fired at close range. 9 Turkish men on board the Mavi Marmara were shot a total of 30 times. 5 were killed by gunshot wounds to the head, according to the vice chair of the Turkish Council of Forensic Medicine, which carried out the autopsies for the Turkish Ministry of Justice today. The results revealed that a 60-year-old man, Ibrahim Beljan, was shot 4 times in the temple, chest, hip, and back. A 19-year-old named Volkan Dogan, who also has U.S. citizenship. You know, he was born in Troy, New York. His father was a professor in Rochester. The 19-year-old named Volkan Dogan, who has U.S. citizenship, was shot 5 times from less than 45 centimeters in the face and the back of the head, twice in the leg and once in the back. 2 other men were shot 4 times, and 5 of the victims were shot either in the back of the head or in the back, according to the vice chair of the Council of Forensic Medicine. And you understand the significance when someone is shot in the back. The findings emerged as more survivors gave their accounts of the raids. Ismail Patel, a pro-Palestinian activist who returned to Britain, told how he witnessed some of the fatal shootings and claimed that Israel had operated a shoot-to-kill policy. He calculated that during the bloodiest part of the assault, Israeli commandos shot 1 person every minute. 1 man was fatally shot in the back of the head just 2 feet in front of him. Another was shot once between the eyes. He added that as well as the fatally wounded, 48 others were suffering from gunshot wounds and 6 activists remain missing, suggesting the death toll may increase. We need the facts. Yesterday, I was giving an address at the American Arab Anti-Discrimination Committee in Washington, D.C. Ralph Nader was addressing them in the evening the day before Attorney General Eric Holder spoke. And just before I went to the talk, I was watching television, and I saw the image of the Rachel Corrie moving its way to Gaza. The Rachel Corrie. And I thought, this is what it takes to have Rachel's story known. The killing of at least 9 activists here, how many thousands of Palestinians since she herself has died, not to mention the number of Israeli deaths as well, because if we don't solve this problem, yes, the overwhelming number of people who die are Palestinian, but there are a number of Israelis who have died as well. This means peace not only for the region, but for all of us. It will increase our national security. It must be resolved, and it's not going to be a military solution.